All right. Hello and happy Tuesday. I guess it's Tuesday. I don't know about you, but last week I had the worst week of trying to remember or realize or recognize what day it was. Like every single day, I had to flip in my calendar and figure out if it really was what day, whatever day. So today is Tuesday. So happy Tuesday. Happy April 28th. We are almost finished with this month. I just posted a blog um, talking about how April just feels like it's a big pause button. So if you want to read that, that's over on the blog. But and trying just to find purpose in this month and in this time. So anyway, hello, thank you for being here. Hey Judy, thanks for hopping on. Hopefully everything is working okay on both ends here. And so I just want to go ahead and get started. I don't want to waste your time today. Hey, Marianne, thanks for being here. My screen is glitching a little bit, so hopefully it's not glitching for you on the other side. But I do have some notes today. I want to talk to you about the Faith and Fitness Framework. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. There may be some other people hop on. And so if you're here live, feel free to say hello. If you're watching the replay, let me know that as well. I'm probably not going to look at the comments all the time. I will jump over to the comments. So if a question comes up or anything like that throughout the time that I am talking, please feel free to comment, and I'll take a look at those at some point, at least before the end. And again, if you're watching the replay and you have a question or anything, I'll be coming back to this video and taking a look and answering any of your questions or responding to your comments. Okay, great, Beverly. Thanks. That it looks fine, because every few seconds my screen just like jumps. So I don't know. It did that Sunday when I was on for prayer, and it seemed to be okay on the other side. So we are just going to go with it today. And so first of all, I want to start. You probably saw this morning's post, and it said beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself. And so that is what I wanted to just draw your attention to today. You do you best. Trying to be like somebody else, to look like somebody else, to compete with someone else, it just doesn't work, and it's really unbecoming of us. So beauty begins the moment we decide to be ourselves. And so today what I'm going to do is teach you how to build a healthy life on a foundation of faith without dieting. We're going to go through the Faith and Fitness Framework and how to apply those 4 pillars in that framework to your daily life to help you break free from dieting and to start feeling good in your body now. Right now, at this age, at this stage of life, not looking back to what we once were or, used to be or wish we had been then, or looking ahead and waiting for something to happen. We're going to look at that right now, and we can start feeling good. You can start feeling good in your body now. With this, you're going to gain confidence to do you, to be you, and to live a life in a way that honors God and honors your body. So again, going back to that, beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself. So I hope that today you will make that commitment to be yourself, not to try to be or to look like somebody else, but to simply be yourself. Be that best version of you right now at this age and stage of life. At the end, yes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Faith and Fitness membership community, but with this information that I give you today, you can start applying this framework and start living fit and free now. So anyway, for those of you who might be new here, welcome. I'm Marsha. I have been here sharing, how God has just set me free from diets, gimmicks, quick fixes for about 5 years now. In fact, it was right at 5 years. on Sunday. It was kind of like a 5-year anniversary of when I realized it was time for me to share the story, to share my story. So I am a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a wife. Many people around here, if you live in the Shelbyville area, know Judge Apsley. Used to be the prosecutor, now the judge. So yes, I'm married to him. I'm a mom of 2 boys, a 17-year-old junior at Shelbyville High School, and an almost 30-year-old. And now I have to qualify that and say he is my stepson. I love him like my son, but I always have to say when I tell people I have 2 boys, a 17-year-old and now almost 30-year-old, I just need you to know that I'm not quite old enough to have a 30-year-old. I would have been a young mom. But anyway, those are my boys. I am an author of 3 books. Many of you are probably familiar with 40 Days of Faith and Fitness, and I wrote one for young girls as well. And I've also got a December guide, a holiday guide that has some healthy living tips as well as devotional content. I'm a running junkie. I love to run. That is my thing. And I believe that every day requires a little chocolate and plenty of coffee. So hopefully, and that just gives you a little piece of who I am if you're new here. And I know that a lot of you have been around for a while, and so those are not new things to learn about me. Maybe they are. So I would love, of course, for you to take a minute to let me know something about you, and make sure that we get to know each other, because I want to get to know you. But I am here to help you stop dieting and feel better in your body now. Like I said, not 5 or 10 pounds from now, but right now. My life was a diet. It was a diet from the time I was in elementary school. I followed Weight Watchers when Weight Watchers was cans of tuna and lettuce. I would sprinkle salt on my lettuce. I would dip my carrot sticks in mustard. Does that sound like icky? But anyway, that was my life and my growing up. And when I started dieting, when I was hey, Janet. Oh, you're getting to enjoy those babies. That's great. But thanks for being here. So I grew up doing that. I mean, my life, like I said, was diets until I was about 40 years old. So I'll be 48 later this year. So it hasn't been a long time since that kind of changed. Although I had followed Jesus my whole life, it wasn't really until I was about to turn 40, that I like to say I stopped circling that mountain. I was kind of like the Israelites in the desert, going around that same mountain of diets, gimmicks, quick fixes, until I turned north. And so what was the catalyst? What was that catalyst for me for kind of breaking that cycle? And it was this book. Again, if you've been around here long, you know that I love this book, Made to Crave by Lisa TerKeurst. I read it first back in 2012 when I was about to turn 40. And it is something that I refer to a lot. I share it with people that I work with, because it really was a game changer for me. There was so much in it that I took away from it. But the biggest thing was when she compared this struggle of this diet of these feelings about herself to what the Israelites were doing in the wilderness, just out there, circling this same mountain, for 40 years. And so I want to just go to a spot here. She was talking about that, and she said, the Israelites were out in that desert, and that because these recently freed Israelites continued to grumble against God and turn their hearts from him, God took them on a 40-year detour. And so that was kind of, like, I've never been happy with my body. I'd never felt good in my body. I grumbled all the time. I wanted it to look different. I needed to lose just a few more pounds, and then I would feel better about it. But she goes on to write, instead of heading straight to the promised land of freedom, They wandered in that desert for 40 years until they learned how to truly depend on God. And then she wrote, I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend the next 40 years of my life learning this lesson. And I even wrote 40 years in that book the first time I read it, because I was going to be 40 at the, close to the time I was reading this book. And I realized it was time. It was time for me to stop circling that mountain. And so what did I do? Over the course of a little time after that, God showed me that I didn't need to do it alone. And I participated in some challenge groups online. And finally, God showed me that I needed to tell my story, that it was time for me to share my story. And so over the course of trying to do that in a few different avenues, I finally wrote the devotional, and I developed these 4 pillars for the Faith and Fitness Framework, and eventually created the membership community where we practice it on a daily basis. So let me tell you, though, before we get into the framework, I still have struggles. I have to admit, I still have struggles, and I need this daily to be something. I mean, I use this framework every single day because I still struggle. This really is a lifestyle. This isn't an on again, off again diet, but it's simply a lifestyle of building a healthy life on a foundation of faith. But just for example, just this weekend, I started feeling myself fall into the comparison trap. I heard about, there was something mentioned in a conversation about somebody who had lost weight. And I mean, immediately my mind went to, not feeling good about myself, or thinking, I wonder how she did that. And I need to look that up, and I need to, maybe if I just did that, maybe if I could just lose a few pounds. And I started to go down into that comparison trap, struggle bus. But I immediately thought, no, I've learned I can't do that. That's not what God intends for me. It's not what He intends for us. And so I turned that around. The planner that I use has a blank for self-care, and so every single day, it acts as a reminder to do something to care for yourself. And so I jot down. Some days it's a cup of tea, or maybe going for a bike ride, or whatever, painting my fingernails. But that day, my self-care was ignoring the comparison. So again, I'm not going to get into what all self-care can be, because it's so many things. But the thing is, that day I had to look inward and realize that there was going to be nothing good that would come from me trying to compare myself, or getting into that and going down that hole and trying to look at what she was doing and how did she maybe lose weight, or feeling bad about myself. And so I just share that to say, I'm on this journey with you. This is a daily commitment, a daily thing. I've shared before, this struggle with weight, at least for me, with my weight, it's what keeps me on my knees before the Lord. And so there is good that comes out of it. Our relationship with Him is strengthened in this process. In fact, I've had women who said, as they're going through this, and as they work through the framework, they say, I feel closer to God now than I did before, I started. And that's the thing. It's, yes, we're hopefully, developing healthy habits, but the key is being closer to Him. And when we're closer to Him, we have more inward motivation to just live a healthier life. And again, I say healthier in an overall wellness and caring for ourselves. So it does take daily commitment, and it really is a way of living, and balance isn't a straight line, but balance is just not getting too far away from that middle ground. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be days where things go a little bit better than they did the day before, or that we may make choices a little bit better, a little bit differently than the day before. But as long as we're not like going up and down, and when we're on diets, it's either we're on it or we're off of it. We're on it or we're off of it. And this way we can kind of stay close to that middle ground. So you said, well, what is the framework exactly? So let's talk about that framework. The framework, 4 pillars. There's faith, there's food, there's exercise, and there's water. So I'm going to take the next few minutes to just break down each one of these pillars, how we look at that and apply it to our daily lives. But you can, and later I will put the link in the comments, but you can read more on my website. I do have one blog post specifically, just the how-tos, a simple one of the Faith and Fitness Framework. And you can also get a free download if you want to take a look at the 4 areas and have a few questions on each of those 4 areas that kind of prompt you into how to apply it in your daily life. So there are a couple things that you can get there with that, so that you have something in hand, and when you go away from this, and if you want to take a look at it a little more closely. So I'll put those links when we get finished. But the key here, like I said, faith, food, exercise, and water. And so faith is really our foundation. I think about, instead of, these 4 pillars like kind of being a square or a box, I think of it more as sort of a tripod where you've got 3, the 3 legs or sticks out, but like that the faith is just that center one, the one that keeps everything balanced. And so, or the firm foundation, and then it builds up from there. But faith has to be our foundation. And 1 Corinthians 10:31 tells us, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do it all for the glory of God. And so when we're building this healthy life, it has to be on that firm foundation. And so how do we apply that? That is just simply taking some time every single day. And sometime, it may be 5 or 10 minutes. It may be an hour. Again, with this entire framework, it shouldn't, it should eventually, as you begin to work these areas into your life and you develop some healthy habits, it shouldn't be something that is distracting to you or consumes a lot of your time. It's just something that is part of you. It is the way that you live. And so the first thing is that we have to give our faith a priority, because when we are closer to the Lord, when we are believing what He says about us, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that He loves us, that He has come to set us free, that His same Spirit that lives in us gives us the power to do the things that He's called us to do, then we feel better and we want to do better, and we want to live that out in our lives in every area, including, like this verse says, the way that we eat and we drink. So when we do our check-ins in the membership community, oftentimes that people will check in these 4 pillars. Sometimes they'll just use a number 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then sometimes they'll specifically talk about, I'm a little bit short on drinking some water today, or it was a rest day for me, so I'm not, counting exercise or whatever. But however they check in, my first priority is, did you just spend a little time with the Lord? Did you have some quiet time? Did you read your scripture? Did you pray? Did you go outside and just commune with Him in nature? That is the key, because when we keep our focus on Him, then everything in our life can, eventually it all lines up. So faith is the first one. It is the most important. It's because of that we can be fit, healthy, whatever that looks like for us, and free. Freedom. That is the key, is that we're not so consumed and worried about how we look or what our next meal is going to be, but we're living to glorify Him in these bodies. The next one we're going to talk about is food. And let me tell you from personal experience, it's the most difficult thing for me. It's the thing that, I'm constantly tweaking. And some days I know it's tough. Some days it would be easier, probably, or it seems like it would be easier if we just had somebody tell us what we could eat, right? Eat this, not that. Give us a diet plan. Give us a shake or a meal plan or whatever. But the thing is, are those really sustainable? And generally, it's not. What we need to do is look to ourselves and our bodies and determine what is right for us. What is a way that we can eat and drink and live and move, this whole thing all the time in the way that is sustainable, not Monday through Friday and then we throw caution to the wind on the weekend. Not, okay, I'm going to do this for 30 days and then, I'm going to forget about it. One of the verses that we use a lot in the membership community is in 1 Corinthians 10:23, and it says, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. So we have to do the work to look at ourselves, to look at our bodies, to be a detective. How does my body respond to certain things? If you are allergic to peanuts may be permissible, but they sure aren't beneficial to you. And it's the same way with things like gluten, with dairy. You can hear all kinds of things about people. Well, I cut out gluten, or I cut out dairy, or I, do this or that. Well, it's time for us to do that work in ourselves and to determine what is right for us. It takes some time. It takes some trial and error. But, the thing is, we're going to be eating for the rest of our lives, right? So we've got time to do this work so that when we figure that out, then we can just naturally, we know what we go choose from the refrigerator, or we stock our refrigerator and our shelves with things that fill us up that satisfy us. And so this doesn't mean that you have to eat clean all the time, or no sweets, or no pizza, or no chips, or whatever. It's just, how does that work in your lifestyle that satisfies you? Your tastes are different than my taste. So you're satisfied, but you're not feeling stuffed. Like I said, when I was introducing myself, I eat chocolate every single day. And so, this isn't about when they check in the membership community. Well, I had dessert, so that means that my food was off for today. No, if that is something that was satisfying to you, that you ate mindfully, and you chose to eat that, and that, you were still feeling good at the end of the day, then that works. That works for you. That is the way that you honored your body that day. So, some things to consider. I'm not going to go in to whether use a scale or not use a scale, or eating plans or shakes and this and that. The bottom line is, what is something that you can do that is sustainable for you, that keeps you on the road to freedom of your mind. That is the key. But some things to think about if you don't, without having to use a scale or whatever, is, how do I feel? How do I feel in my body? At the end of the day, I can tell you, just by the way that I feel, if I really listen to my body and take inventory, I know whether I made good choices, or did I find myself eating, like when people weren't around, because I wouldn't have eaten that if somebody was here, or did I eat because I was frustrated and I was mad? Was it an emotional thing? Those are the kind of things that we can ask ourselves throughout the day, or at the end of the day, to determine, did I eat in a way that was beneficial for my body? Okay, so we've got faith, we've got food, we've got exercise. Again, so many people say to me, I'm just not a runner, Marsha. I can't run. I don't like to run. And even though that is my mode of transportation, or the way that I like to move, it doesn't mean that you have to do that. And it doesn't mean that you have to have an hour at a gym for your exercise to count. You can go for a 10-minute walk. It's simply moving our bodies. And we just know that regular movement, and especially getting outside if you can, is so good, not only for your body physically, but also mentally. And so every day we just shoot for doing some sort of movement that celebrates this body that we have, that is like, for me, running or getting out, a lot of times that's my prayer time. And so just doing those things, moving in some way that you enjoy. It could be turning the radio on and dancing a little bit. So finding something that you like to do, that you can do most days, is just beneficial for your body. So that's the exercise component. And the final component is water. Water, it seems kind of trivial, but I'm telling you that it makes a big difference. And again, did I drink mostly water throughout the day? We do shoot for about half of our body weight in ounces of water. It's just kind of a good rule of thumb. But of course, I don't have a scale. I don't, have people weighing in, so it doesn't have to be exact. It's just kind of that number, a number that you can kind of look at to say, okay, I'm drinking more water. When I used to teach step aerobics out at the athletic club way back when, and I had one gal who all she did was quit her daily soda, drank an extra glass of water, and she lost like 10 pounds in a month or something. It was just amazing, the difference that just replacing maybe a coffee drink or soda or just adding some water can make a huge difference. So I found that is important, and that's something that a lot of people don't think about. So when we put it into the 4 pillars, it's just another thing for us to consider and to do and to make part of our healthy lifestyle. So there you have, you've got your faith, you've got food, exercise, and water. So does anybody have any questions on any of those 4 pillars, how to apply them, what that looks like, anything that I have said about it? I've got a couple. Sorry, my phone's dinging. But those are the 4 pillars. And so I just want to, I do want to go back, of course, to Lisa's book and just share with you. I mentioned that I don't use a scale. When I first gave up the scale, I was terrified. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have a scale and I'm going to gain a bunch of weight. Well, I didn't. I haven't popped any buttons or busted any zippers or anything like that. I don't judge if you use a scale, but in our membership community, there's not like weigh-ins or things like that. We don't ask for measurements, but of course we celebrate with women because they do see that body transformation, but the transformation happens from the inside out. And let me share, I actually just got a message from one of the members this weekend. She just sent me this message out of the blue, and I just love this. And this really summarizes what can happen when you apply this framework to your life. And she said, "Hi, Marcia." She said, "I read a verse today, and it helps to sum up where I am. Galatians 5:13 says, 'You were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in your sinful nature.'" So again, this whole thing, it's about freedom. When I was in the middle of this, I wanted to be free. That was the thing. That was my struggle. I, pray, God, I don't want to think about all this all the time. And so the freedom is the key here. And she said, "I truly am free." She said, "Food does not need to be my master. But," and this is so good, this whole transformation of our mind. And I can tell you that the gal who shared this with me, when she came in, I think there was a feeling of some hopelessness, a feeling of overwhelm, a feeling of, it's too late for me to feel good, this whole struggle. But she said, food does not need to be my master, but in freedom, I must be responsible. And so in this process of applying the pillars, applying the faith and fitness framework, she figured out what was the best way for her to live, to eat and live and move on a daily basis that also brought her closer to her goals, which were you feeling better in her body. There were some of her numbers that the doctors weren't really happy with her blood work and stuff. And so she figured out, because she began to see that she was worth the time and the effort to do something to change the course of her life, because she's got grandkids she wants to be around for. She wants to play with them. She wants to feel confident, as who she is. And so she said, I feel healthier than I have in a long time, and I'm feeling comfortable with who I am. And then she said, Marcia, you've helped me on this journey. And I appreciated that. And I don't share that because of me, but it's because God has just put it on my heart to share this with women. And, I believe that when God entrusts us with something to share, that we need to do it. But, for so long I was distracted by this, I just want to feel better in my body. I want to look better, and then I'll do whatever. But here's the thing. We do this. I share this with you. I help you find that freedom in your fit and healthy life so that you can live the life God has designed for you, so that you can show up and, whether it's for your grandkids, whether it's for your job, whether it's for your children, whatever it is, so that you can feel good in your skin now and you're free to do what He's called you to do. Not like, for me, I used to tell people, excuse me, that, somebody would comment and say, oh, you look good, you've lost some weight. And I'd be like, yeah, it's my life's purpose to lose weight. And I really did think that, my number one goal was to lose weight. I was constantly reading about it. I was constantly trying to manipulate everything in my life so that I could lose just a few pounds. And the thing is, we're called to more than that. So let me go back. Just like I said, I was going to share, I got distracted. You can tell I get excited about this, but I am going to wrap this up here. In Lisa's book, she says, define your week by obedience, not a number on the scale. So just here's some questions that she put in the book that you can ask yourself. Did I overeat this week any day? Did I move more and exercise regularly? Do I feel lighter than I did at this time maybe a week ago? Did I eat in secret or out of anger or frustration? Did I feel that at any time I ran to food instead of God? And so those are some things that, because she in this book did talk about using the scale, but how you can determine, if you're doing well. You don't have to have that number on the scale. Those are the kind of questions that we begin to ask ourselves that mean more than a number on the scale, that mean more, so that we continue on this healthy living journey. So, like I said, I will post in the comments how you can, the blog post that you can see, and how you can download something that shows you a little more about the 4 pillars, the faith and fitness framework. I do have the devotional. You can find this on Amazon. If you want to go deeper with that, that just helps you. It does give you some actionable steps, but it also just helps you begin to see yourself the way God sees you, and gives you a daily verse all about this, just healthy living and living fit and free. And so, like I said, we do have the membership community. One of the things I found that we're just better together. We're just better together. And so whether you call up a friend, you share the download, and you say, hey, let's use each other as an accountability partner, and let's start, tackling our healthy living from a faith focus and building on a foundation of faith rather than looking for a new diet or bemoaning how, I need to lose weight, but I just don't know how. You can do that, or you can join us in the membership community. And, it's not something that takes a lot of time, nor does it, cost a lot of money. It is $30 a month. I'll give you a discount code for $5 off, so it would be $25. You can stay for a month. You can stay as long as you like. I have some go from month to month. I have others who have given me a check and said, I went in all year long. So it's really up to you. It's not something that we spend a lot of time in. There's an evening check-in. We've been doing Zoom calls every Thursday evening right now. And usually it was once a month, but now we're doing it weekly just for the extra support in this kind of uncertain time. So if you want to join us on Thursday before you make a commitment, let me know. I'll be happy to share that link with you, and you can just hop on that call with us, ask your questions, or get to know some of the people who are in the community. But it is just a place where we have a daily check-in. And like I was saying about, in the 4 pillars, and some encouragement with each other. And so, I can talk more to you. I've gone a little bit over on time. I wanted to keep it about 30 minutes or about 35 minutes. So I don't want to take up any more time unless you have questions about anything. And, again, I'd be happy to get on the phone with you if you want to talk more, or you can email me or message me, or if you have questions, put them in the comments and I will respond to them. But it is just my passion to see you, number one, gaining confidence in who you are and how God created you and who you are right now. And then just being a good steward of what He's entrusted to you, being a good steward of that body. And that body doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to weigh a certain weight. But just that we know that we are being faithful and that we are living a life so that, again, it's all so that we can show up on a daily basis to love and serve the people that God has placed in our lives, wherever He's placed you, wherever He has planted you. And I just know what it feels like to be distracted when we don't feel good in our bodies, when we're constantly thinking about, what I weigh or what I don't weigh or what I need to weigh or whatever. When we just build this healthy life on a foundation of faith and begin just to take care of ourselves and in a way that is sustainable, so that it's not the main focus of our lives, so that we can get on with living, so that we can be free to just do what He's called us to do. So anyway, that is it for me. Beverly says, I need to renew my commitment to a healthy life. These stressful days have got me off track. Definitely. And that's the thing, especially now, in this time. And that's why the gals in the membership community said, can we do a Zoom call every week? Of course, I'm like, well, I don't have anywhere to be right now. So it was no problem that, instead of, like I said, we usually do it about once a month. We're getting on once a week now. And it's just nice. Sometimes we chat. Sometimes I talk a little bit about, healthy living and stuff. Other times, we just talk about what's going on. It's just nice to have that community and know that we are in this together. There's no judgment. There's no comparison. Everybody's doing their own thing with the way, we eat and exercise, but we just know that we are in this together. And, for May, we are not only doing a check-in with the 4 pillars, but there's a self-care component there. And there's a kind of a mental health. Okay, how are you doing really? How are you feeling? Are you concerned? I talked to them about the fact that as some of these restrictions lessen and you begin to maybe try to go out a little bit more, I think that's going to increase our anxiety on some level. Some of us say, oh my gosh, I've got cabin fever. I can't wait to get out of the house. But that also means we're going to be exposed a little bit more. And how are we doing with all that? So we're going to make sure that, I'm checking in with them. And it's not just how they're eating and they're drinking, but how are you living, feeling? What's your mindset? Do you need an extra phone call? I'll do some one-on-ones, where that's needed. So we are really in it together. Somebody said last week, she said, I really feel like we're just kind of knit together in this close community. And so that's what that is. But like I said, take these 4 pillars. I'm going to give you a couple of links in the comments when I get off here. If you have questions, the membership community is open. It's open until Sunday. I don't open the doors to that like just whenever, so that I can really focus on the people in the community once the doors are closed. So if you are interested in it, if you have questions about it, comment or message me, email me. I'm happy to respond to that, or even get on the phone with you if that works better for you. And like I said, you could join our Zoom call on Thursday evening if you have questions to meet some people. So again, thank you for staying. If you've been here, I am sorry we went a little bit over. And I'm sorry about all my hand stuff, but when I get excited to talk about things, I guess I get a little more animated. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. And yeah, that is all I have for today. I don't see any other comments or questions, but of course, if something comes up, feel free to reach out. And again, if you're watching the replay and you've had any comments, I will be coming back to check it as well throughout the day or later on. So have a great Tuesday. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this community. And again, if there is something that you're looking for, a support that you need, that I could be helpful with, that you want me to share more about, feel free to let me know, because I want to support you. I'm in this with you, and I want to support you because I want to see you living fit and free, and I want to see you living confidently in this body that God has given you, to make the decisions that you need to make for your body so that you can show up and that you can be living the life God has designed for you right now, feeling good in your body right now. I know it's possible, and I know we can do that together. So have a great Tuesday, and I'll talk to you again soon.